Oh, I think I've been talking to you all this morning without a mute, muted. So let's start over again. I know we're on a little early. I wanted to get on actually at 8:15 Eastern time. I was about 5 minutes late. I walked in this morning. The machine that had run out of battery. It took a while to boot up for the live stream. So we're running about 5 minutes late, but I wanted to get on early this morning. I wanted to get ahead of today's event. We have the ECB press conference coming up in just about 5 minutes. I have the live feed for that now. And as it comes on, we'll take a look together. All right. And yeah, we have a busy day ahead of us. And it looks like from where we started last night, we're really back where we left off. Price is kind of exactly where it is. So we're waiting to get this press conference out of the way for a little bit of direction. And then we're really focused on obviously what's going to happen with China US. We had Peter Navarro making the headlines today. And Trump is meeting with his advisors today to decide whether or not they're going to put on the tariffs or not. And really, I don't know which way it's going to go. That is going to give us the market direction in a big way, more than anything else that's occurring today. I am interested in taking a look with you all what's going on with the pound as far as the elections today. On everything. We have to get a feel for everything that's going on, the Swiss franc also. And then this is going to be Christine Lagarde's first press conference. We'll see how that goes, whether this becomes a big event or we're move on and look forward to what happens going into Friday, going into the close on Friday, whether or not the tariffs are announced or it's announced that they're not going to be escalated and put on by the close of Friday, or we have to wait for the weekend. But so I had orders overnight on the Australian dollar, US dollar, which I'm canceling right now. They didn't trigger, and actually you could see price actually held this upper trend line here, which should now be support. It's above this resistance level and it's making its way upwards. So I'm no longer looking to take the short over here. That would have been if these two resistance levels had held. Right now they're not. So I'm going to cancel those orders. And I was also looking at gold. I didn't place any orders though on gold. And gold is trading back towards this resistance right here. So there's still a possible short in play on gold. But right now I'm going into this session with no live orders. I'm going to review everything with you and then see where I want to place my focus. All right, let's turn on this feed. All right. So we got about 2 minutes to the press conference start. Let's take a look at what the headlines this morning are. So going into the session, we have the Australian dollar is the strongest and the pound's the weakest. Huh. All right. Pound's not really doing anything yet. It's down about a 0.25%. Not a big deal. We'll get into later as this day develops what's going on over there with as far as the elections. This is really key. You could see just this headline here. Lots of rumors out there, and those rumors I'm sure are really surrounded by the US-China trade deal and what is going to happen. All right. I think it's the big theme of the market right now. Here we go. We're going to get started right now. Let's pull up the euro US dollar. Good morning, Prince. Good afternoon. I know we got people from all over the world here. We had Mongolia in here yesterday with us. Kind of cool just to be a global community. So I often talk about how setups come in waves and the markets come in waves. And actually the difficult part is that usually when setups start coming in, they come in on multiple pairs. So you have to choose which pair you're going to trade. And when they're not yet live, it's that waiting for the next set of waves to come in. And we're really getting ready for the next set of weight. We had a lot of breakouts yesterday and breakdowns. Breakdown on the DXY, it looks like. Break up on the Australian dollar, US dollar, and on the euro US dollar. I feel like the pound pairs are going to be coming into play very soon. And then we have this major event hanging over our heads, which will be resolved by Monday, one way or the other, with the tariffs, whether we escalate or de-escalate. And it should be, even though you're looking at next week is the going into the middle of December, right? The middle of December, which is, getting ready for the holidays. The markets are going to be pretty busy, I think. I think a lot of Wall Street are going to have to cancel their Christmas vacations this year. As if you read that article I shared yesterday, it looks like the last week of this year we might see some fireworks. We'll see. But all of Wall Street's talking about it. And I don't think it's going to be a quiet next week. I think next week's going to be a good one for us. And we still have a couple of days left in this one. So let's see what develops. I got to be watching gold right here. You see, this is my resistance. And I like this resistance. It's been in here a while, right? Resistance is actually up a little higher, of course. And I like the fact that you have this upper channel here providing another resistance. So your stops up here around, 1489, and you're dead wrong if price trades up there. So if price does bounce somewhere here today and start heading downwards, it's a good opportunity.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our press conference. Today is the first time that I have had the privilege and pleasure of sharing the monetary policy meeting of the Governing Council of the ECB. And I'm delighted to proceed now with reporting on the outcome of our meeting together with my friend, the Vice President. The Governing Council meeting was also attended by the Commission Executive Vice President, Mr. Valdez.
Yesterday we walked through the FOMC, and I have a really clear guide to how that works and how to trade around that. I'm just going off of price alone here as we see what develops. I don't have that same insight as I do into the FOMC.
Levels until we have seen the inflation outlook robustly converge to a level sufficiently close to or below 2% within our projection horizon.
But it does sound like we start off with blah, 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 blah.
Consistently reflected in underlying inflation dynamics. On November 1st, we restarted net purchases under our asset purchase program at a monthly pace of 20 billion euros. We expect them to run for as long as necessary to reinforce the accommodative impact of our policy rates and to end shortly before we start raising the key ECB interest rates.
This looks good. We're going to come back to this.
To continue reinvesting in full the principal payments from maturing securities purchased under the APP for an extended period of time past the date when we start raising the key ECB interest rates, and in any case for as long as necessary to maintain favorable liquidity conditions and an ample degree of monetary accommodation.
Definitely.
The incoming data since the last Governing Council meeting in late October point to continued muted inflation pressures and weak euro area growth dynamics, although there are some initial signs of stabilization in the growth slowdown and of a mild increase in underlying inflation in line with our previous expectations. Ongoing employment growth and increasing wages continue to underpin the resilience of the euro area economy. The comprehensive package of policy measures that the Governing Council decided in September provides substantial monetary stimulus.
So technically, New Zealand dollar, US dollar looks pretty good. You could see, let's see, where are we at right now? I see over here resistance, pretty light, right? This held the support, and again is this resistance. We're over there right now, but we probably are pretty overbought. Let's look. No, it looks very healthy. Looks very healthy. It's got a healthy structure going in right now. There's definitely a lot of room over here to the upside. This is where you have to really be careful and look what's going to happen at this next resistance level above. Right here, though, where you are right now, I think this is less of a New Zealand dollar story. Not over here. Of course, the bank was on hold, and we really made some moves. But right now, I think on everything you're trading right now, it's going to be whether we go risk on, risk off next week, depending on what happens, what the U.S. decides to do in the next move in the trade war. So are you, what kind of position, you wouldn't short this, right? Because you're not at a heavy resistance level. So there's no reason to short it. And you're a little bit of no man's land today. You're at a minor resistance level. You have to see what price does. And you're definitely not looking to go long here because you don't have a support to trade off of. So if you're not in a trade currently, you're waiting. If you are long, you're watching to see that price holds here. And if this minor resistance doesn't go ahead and start retracing, where if it did, you'd want to take profits and then get back into the trade when it does come down closer to a new possible reentry. But I'd be standing aside right now in the New Zealand dollar, US dollar.
Incoming economic data and survey information, while remaining weak overall, point to some stabilization in the
that you have nice support down there. I'll actually draw that in for myself.
The services and construction sectors remain resilient despite some moderation in the latter part of 2019.
That's a nice level to look for. If price does come down there, that looks like a really attractive place for a lot of people to get involved. And whether or not we do or we don't know, but that's how you pick your setup. You wait for it to see, and if it does come down to a good point, that's where you're looking to take trades. But not over here where it's just there's no edge one way or the other. That's what I mean by picking your levels, right? If price comes down to here and starts resuming upwards, then you know where your stop is, you know where you're wrong, your risk is really well defined, and that's how you trade. If you take setups like that and show patience waiting for that, because it might not happen on the New Zealand dollar, US dollar, but you have 20 other pairs to work, to also focus in on, where your setup will come to you. That's how you trade, though. Good job.
Compared with the September 2019 ECB staff macroeconomic projections, the outlook for real GDP growth has been revised down slightly for 2020. The risks surrounding the euro area growth outlook related to
I am watching gold. I don't have any live orders in right now. I had a live order in overnight on the Australian dollar, US dollar. I have since canceled it. I have no live orders at all right now. Yeah, gold is in this resistance area right now and has my resistance here of this trend line. If we get rejected here and come down, I'm definitely looking to get short gold.
To 1% in November, reflecting mainly
because I know where I'm wrong, and it's really close to where we are now.
Inflation. On the basis of current futures prices for oil, headline inflation is likely to rise.
But right now, there's no orders placed on gold, and there's nothing to do.
Indicators of inflation expectations stand at low levels.
There could be, not yet.
Of underlying inflation have remained generally muted, although there are some indications of a mild increase in line.
Yeah, I like that you're really looking and waiting for price to come to you, because if you trade like that all around, you're gonna do well. That's how you do it.
Momentum is delaying their pass through to inflation. Over the medium term, inflation is expected to increase, supported by our monetary policy measures.
Hasn't the ECB said inflation is expected to increase now for the past 4 years?
This assessment is also broadly reflected in the December 2019 Eurosystem staff macroeconomic projections for the euro area, which foresees annual HICP inflation at 1.2% in 2019, 1.1% in 2020, 1.4% in 2021, and 1.6% in 2022. Compared with the September 29 ECB staff macroeconomic projections, the outlook for HICP inflation has been revised up slightly for 2020 and down slightly for 2021, mainly driven by the expected future path of energy prices. Turning now to the monetary analysis, broad money M3 growth stood at 5.6% in October 2019, unchanged from September. Sustained rates of broad money growth reflect ongoing bank credit creation for the private sector and low opportunity cost of holding M3 relative to other financial instruments. The narrow monetary aggregate M1 continues to be the main contributor to broad money growth on the component side. The growth of loans to firms and households remain solid, benefiting from the continued pass-through of our accommodative monetary policy stance to bank lending rates. The annual growth rate of loans to non-financial corporations increased.
King, as far as the buying gold,
in October,
you see if we get above here, this resistance level here, I'm going to watch then what happens down here. And if we get rejected and trade below this resistance, I'm looking to go short. But if we just bump up here and then come down and test this broken resistance, which will then be support, and start rising up, I'm gonna be looking for the long here as well. This pocket for gold over here, if we get above this area that we're at right now, and I'll talk you through it if it happens, I am looking for a nice long on gold. You have this light resistance where we'd first look to move our stop to break even, watch how price reacts, and then if we get above there, this becomes a beautiful trade.
In order to reap the full benefits from our monetary policy measures, other policy areas must contribute more decisively to raising the longer-term growth potential, supporting aggregate demand at the current juncture, and reducing vulnerabilities. The implementation of structural policies in euro area countries needs to be substantially stepped up to boost euro area productivity and growth potential, reduce structural unemployment, and increase resilience.
Wow, it's picked up a lot since we came in here.
Should serve as the relevant signpost. Regarding now fiscal policies, the euro area fiscal stance is expected to remain mildly expansionary in 2020, thus providing support to economic activity. In view of the weakened economic outlook, the Governing Council welcomes the Eurogroup's call for differentiated fiscal responses and its readiness to coordinate. Governments with fiscal space should be ready to act in an effective and timely manner. In countries where
so I don't know what to make of that. It looks like they still have the majority. It's just a narrower win than they expected. I mean, that's why I'm on the sidelines, but this could spike the other way too once they announce they won, huh?
Their efforts to achieve a more growth-friendly composition of public finances. Likewise, the transparent and consistent implementation of the European Union's fiscal and economic governance framework over time and across countries remains essential to bolster the resilience of the euro area economy. Improving the functioning of Economic and Monetary Union, the EMU, remains a priority. The Governing Council welcomes the ongoing work and urges further specific and decisive steps to complete the Banking Union and the Capital Markets Union. Now, we are now together with the Vice President available for your questions. But before that, I'm going to take just a couple of minutes of your time to tell you a few things. One is each and every president has his or her own style of communicating. So I know some of you are keen to compare and rate or rank. I will have my own style. So as I said before, don't overinterpret, don't second guess, don't cross-reference. I'm going to be myself and therefore probably different. Point number one. Point number two, this introductory statement.
DJ, I mean, fantastic trade.
For those of you who follow
really went in your favor.
But some of you
it seems super high risk to me, though.
It does not include anything having to do with the strategic review. It is
meaning what, like, when you see the market like that and you're able to trade like that, like, I get that, that's awesome and that's good. But that means that you're taking lots of risks, and this was a good one. It sounds like get the feeling you knew what you were doing. You took the trade with a really well-defined risk, but you're still taking risks, right? And it's just a question of having that long-term edge in order to continually make money from the markets. And this could be the difficult part for a really good trader, DJ. If you see the market well and you're a good trader, that could work against you. All right.
So, because there were many other things to do. But the last strategic review was in 2003. It's been 16 years since there has been a strategic review. So it's quite legitimate to have.
What did she say?
At this point in time. Second, that strategic review needs to be comprehensive, needs to look at all and every issues, will turn each and every stone, and will take its time, but will not take too much time.
I mean, hear what I'm saying. I see that you're a good trader. You have to make that work for you, though. And trust me, being a good trader could also be a heavy cross in finding that path.
Third, about the strategic review, it will be reaching out to not just the usual suspects, but it will also include consulting with members of parliament, and I committed to that with the European Parliament. It will reach out to the academic community, of course. It will reach out to civil society representatives, and it will aim at not just preaching the gospel that we think we master, but also listening to the views of those to whom we reach out. It is the point of every strategic review by all central banks that are conducting this exercise to actually look at their objective, how they define their medium-term objective in particular, how they give content to the price stability that is in their mandate, and it is the only objective that we have in our mandate ourselves. So that topic indeed will be core and center to our strategic review. And there is no preconceived landing zone at this point in time. Indeed, it will also address the major changes that have taken place over the course of the last 16 years. And by that, I include the massive technological change that our societies are facing. It will include the immense challenge that climate change is addressing to each and every one of us, wherever located and whatever our mission and duties. It will include aspects of inequality that are certainly rising in our economies. And all of those will be addressed with a view to exploring each and every corner of the business that we conduct as a central bank to see how those businesses are affected and how we can take them into account and better respond to the mission that we have and to deliver on our mandate, serving the euro area citizens and delivering on the mandate of price stability. So that's on the strategic review. And if you have additional point that I can answer, I will, but I will not go into much further details when it comes to the substance, because the framework has not yet been completely agreed and discussed with members of the Governing Council. And I have certainly made a point of my tenure to include members of the Governing Council and to seek their views and their consideration before any decision is made. With that, I have huge respect for the work that you do. You are a main audience for the central bank. You're not the only audience. And I would also encourage you not to try to sort of draw too much conclusions or decisive findings from communication that I would address to different audience with a slightly different language in order to be maybe better understood by those who do not have you.
Your US dollar is kind of right now caught between, this is turn support.
And when I don't know, I will tell you that I don't know.
This broken resistance right here is now support. And you see price right over here where the mouse is. You could see that's like a light resistance that we're at right now. We're just caught at, but it's not too much to pay attention to. We got heavy resistance above and we got this support below. So we're between these two areas. Okay. So what you're waiting for to happen is a test of this broken resistance to see if it becomes support, to see if it holds. And if you get towards this area, at least then you have a possibility of a trade if price then resumes out of it, because you know where your stop is. And then you have a nice risk to reward. Get back to this level out right now. You move your stop to break even. You bust through, and this becomes a beautiful trade. You get to watch it up here to see what happens. But right now, you don't have an edge. You're between support and resistance, and you're just waiting and watching. If you are uber aggressive trader and we came all the way up here and you wanted to take a short off of that resistance, you could do that, but you're fighting a strong trend at that point. Right now, my play is if we come back down here and do get a test of this support and it holds and starts resuming upwards, to take that long.
Is it satisfactory? It's certainly directionally good, but is it the aim that we pursue? No, indeed. On tilt row,
we're seeing the pound US dollar, pound Japanese yen. We're seeing the pound come off. From what I gather, it's just because it looks like the majority is expected to be less than they expected. But be careful here when you get the official announcement. I think that this could jump back up. This could be really volatile. DJ, I don't know. You could let us know where you're looking as an idea to take profits here, or what you're doing, locking in your stop. But it seems to me that the majority is just shortening, and I would stay out of these pairs until you get some type of resolution and some type of clear direction. They could be volatile today.
We'll look carefully at the next one. Thank you.
Yeah, take that money. Good job.
Welcome to Frankfurt, Madame Lagarde. My first question, if I may follow up on the review of what you said about the review. you said, I mean, does the fact that you're launching the review, or launched the review while you still haven't met your mandate, limit how much you can actually limit your wiggle room to how much you can actually change your definition of the mandate or your goal, since you haven't reached it yet? That's my first question. And the second question is on negative rates, because we've heard quite a lot from you, from other members of the governing council, about side effects of negative rates. At the same time,
definitely. Let's take a look right now.
You're committed to
Pound New Zealand dollar. We must see the New Zealand dollar really
so the question is,
making some gains here. Okay,
maybe
so that gives you a clear picture right away, right? You see what we're looking at?
how you express your commitment, how you give your guidance. Thank you.
When I drew this in, this was kind of just like a sketch.
On the,
Don't,
the time
there's no precision here,
review,
right? I just drew those in quickly to give myself some type of visual guidance.
if and when you have delivered on the way in which you've defined your mandate,
And more or less, that's what we're looking at here right now.
I think it cuts both ways.
So at this moment, I think what you're looking for is, until this holds over here, this lower trend line, that's support until it breaks to the downside. And, again, I don't know what's going to happen with these pound pairs today. Are they going to announce that they actually won? And then you're going to see a long spike down here, this come back up. It's entirely a possibility, but I have no idea. As we go into New York, things tend to definitely retrace and get a little jumpy. You got a lot of, people looking at this down today and getting short down here. That's dangerous. This specifically on the pound New Zealand dollar, you have this lower trend line support down here, and you got to think of this as support right now until it no longer is. And that's what I say. This looks like a pretty long bull flag or a channel. And I'm assuming that this is going to hold right now. Once it breaks down, you got to get down, probably around 1.9817, around there. Then you've broken down, maybe even a little higher. Depends how you play it. I would wait for the break and then the retest. Make sure that this broken support line is now resistance, and then as price resume down, take for it. Otherwise, you're looking here, jumping down to the 8-hour.
What we have done was always,
as we come down towards the support now, and you're waiting to see if we bounce off that support.
Under the current strategy, to create the conditions for growth. And on that point, I think that the use of interest rates in particular has been quite efficient in order to lower the financing cost. And that clearly seems to have worked and seems to work properly when I look at the increase in the volume of financing, both for the non-corporate finance and for the households. When I look at the decrease in the cost itself, I think that this is a policy that works. Now, the side effects are a preoccupation. There's no question about that. And we would not be doing our job if we were not monitoring and being extremely attentive to that balance of cost benefit of such measures.
Martin Arnold, Financial Times. Carry on with the side effects. I mean, do you believe there is such a thing as a reversal rate? Will this be something that is looked at by the strategic review? Will it examine in more depth the type effects of your policies? And secondly, given that growth continues to be very weak, even by 2020, you're not expected to achieve your core target, your core objective. Do you think there's a risk of Japanification in the Eurozone? Thanks.
On the first point, the reversal rate. My understanding of the reversal rate is that you are facing a reversal rate when credit begins contracting. That's how in economic theory the reversal rate is defined. Given the progression rate that we're seeing, 3.8%, the most recent one in the non-corporate financials, in the non-financial corporate sector, 3.5 and growing in the household sector, that certainly does not meet the definition of credit contraction. We are still seeing credit expansion. Are we attentive to that credit expansion and those credit numbers? Of course we are, because it's clearly one of the clear objectives that we have to facilitate the financing of growth.
So again, the question that we're looking at and the markets are looking at is, what is Trump going to do? Is he going to put on the tariffs? Is he going to not put on the tariffs? He's meeting with his advisors today to discuss that. I expect the decision could be made tomorrow before the market close. If it's good news. If they're putting on the tariffs, maybe that won't. We won't hear that till over the weekend when the markets are closed.
On the medium-term horizon, the 1.4% for 2022, we're getting close to the growth potential of the euro area.
So we did take out this resistance here. This looks interesting for looking at longs now.
To have other policies join the monetary policy in order to support
On a test of this.
The reduction of slack.
So you got the entry CCI pull back. This is like a textbook setup for me. If we come back now and test the support on the resumption upwards, I'll be looking at this later tonight. I'll be looking at this to see what's developed during Asia and whether or not I could place any orders going into London or not. But I will be looking here. But then that gets really tricky as far as I'm not about holding anything tomorrow, right? We'll talk about that tomorrow, though. Same thing here on the Australian dollar, US dollar. We come back. If this is wound up being a, if we've just broken out here, which it looks like, and as long as this holds on the retest, this multi-month trend line, there could be some serious upside here. So it feels like Australian dollar finally is joining New Zealand dollar's party. Maybe I'm going to keep a sharp eye out. I have it marked here purple now. All right. These are the three pairs that I'm really focused in on today. Gold, Euro, Japanese yen, and Australian dollar, US dollar.
US CEO how you viewed fiscal policy and monetary policy in the relationship.
Alberto, good to see you.
Told me that there is nothing wrong for a central banker to sit at the table with ministers and to discuss with ministers about growth and what can be done. And he said, well, they decide I do A and B and you do C and D. And this, he said, doesn't put in danger the independence of a central banker. What is your opinion on that? Thank you.
All right. On the toolbox, I'm not going to revisit the past. Number one, policy decisions that were made stand and were re-endorsed yet again. And my view of it is that they form a package. There were several components to that package. I think that the intention was for some of the measures, such as the interest rate, to actually have an impact on the short-term end of the yield curve. The forward guidance that was also part of the package that gives a clear calendar and induces an automatic adjustment depending on the state of the economy. Also gives is intended to have an impact on the medium-term end of the curve, and the asset purchase program that was reinitiated is intended to have an impact on the long end of the yield curve. Based on what we are seeing, all three seems to have had their impact, and certainly it has been perceived as such. So I'm not going to dissect between each and every item of the package. I think that they are there together. The two-tier system was clearly an additional attribute in order to deal with some of the negative effects that you referred to, and is also part and parcel of the package. You know, I wouldn't take a view on one element or the other. On the other
all right, so this is the normal time we jump on together. It's now a little after 9 o'clock. Let's see where the market regains her focus. I saw the DXY. Let's take a look at it, DXY right now. And it's right now at this broken support. So it's getting a retest right here. This is going to be really telling, right? Whether or not during this session we get rejected here by this level and see some further US dollar weakness, or we regain it. But this is the first test of a broken resistance. So this will be telling whether or not it's going to hold and actually has become resistance, or we get back and trade back above it.
With policymakers actually agreeing that they're going to take make the efforts that they can in order to reach their respective goals.
We're discussing the merits of the two instruments, or the two main instruments at your disposal, the negative interest rates and QE. I wonder if the economy were to worsen next year, if there was one that you think would be more appropriate to use first, that maybe was less had less risks attached. Some people on your governing council, for instance, are much more concerned about QE as a policy tool. I wonder if you share that concern and see QE as more of an exceptional, unconventional tool. My second question was also about your governing council, and there's been a certain amount of disagreement in recent weeks over policy, public disagreement. Your predecessor was worried about public.
So, Alberto, backtesting is good for getting a feel of what it is, what type of trading plan you're looking to implement, and how you're looking to do that, and then and forward testing is really where it's at. However, if you're back testing, this is because you're looking really to develop a rule-based automated system here together while we trade discretionary. We always we're technical traders 100%, but we're really focused on what's going on in the fundamentals, as this is foreign exchange, which is driven by news events. So it's when you combine the two that you have the edge.
Complete agreement on everything, and I'm sure that the strategic review, particularly in our definition of the
gold here is at a super interesting space, because you could see right now that, first of all, it looks like we're getting ready to see if we break out here to the upside, but right here we're still expecting to get rejected. So this is just an important session. I don't chase breakouts to the upside, right? If I come down and test this support down here, this broken resistance comes down and holds as support, and then price comes out of it, then I'm going to be considering taking a look at this to the upside. And again, if we do get long to the upside, and we'll take a look at it only if that develops as a possible scenario. Over here, this little mark would be where you'd first just lock in profits, move your stop to break even, watch how price reacts. What we're really looking for is a break of this to see what happens up there. So that's a nice potential trade. But as of where I am right now, I expect that this is going to hold. This resistance is going to hold. Price is going to be rejected. And I'll look at this towards the end of New York. And the earliest I'll be looking to enter this will be during London. If this never trades above this trend line here, and during London session, price is making a lower low than Asia, I will look to take a short here.
Things are restated
But this is, either way, we're setting up for a long or a short on gold soon. We're at a nice point. This is a point to be focused in on.
I have two questions as well. One on perhaps a bit of a technical issue, whether you think that these market-based inflation expectations are actually, because there's big.
So Alberto, the back testing is important for figuring out kind of what method you're looking to implement. But really, it's forward testing that really matters. And again, you're like you said, you can't implement into that back testing really what the current news impact was, which is also crucial. And yeah, as a chartist, you feel like the charts price everything is in, but they to a certain extent, right? Sometimes they're pricing in what they're pricing in because of what the news is. They don't price it in ahead of time. They price it in as it happens.
Discussion of the measure of inflation, depending on whether you measure HICP inflation as is with or without food and
New Zealand dollar,
prices, or whether
US dollar is kind of in a bit of a no man's land.
Or survey-based instruments. I think we need to look at all of them. We need to look directionally where it's heading. I think I very strongly.
I could see where it's at right now. I look at that as minor resistance level, and you could see this like spike over here. You could see this was resistance. This held that support, and here it was resistance. Here it was support, and then it spiked up. So that where it's at right now is a minor level, and price could pause here, but I certainly wouldn't short here. Right, this is a stronger resistance level. These two lines up here, and someone noted just a little bit earlier, and really astutely so, what they're doing is they're waiting for price to come back around 0.65, 0.64, right here where my cursor is, and I thought I had drawn in a support level.
And the actual use of the premises. Those are tricky technical questions that we will have to look at, and on which we should.
If price comes down and tests this support down here, then you want to look if it holds to get long, right? Right here, kind of in no man's land. This is a point, a definite level to look at how price reacts. And because you're at a minor resistance, if you could take profits here if price starts retracing off of this. But you want to give it that room to see if because it's small, if it breaks out here and continues rising, and then this is your next level to look at. Right now, you don't want to look to initiate a new trade, buy or short, because you're in no man's land, and you just really want to show patience and wait for a better level to develop to look to get in on this trade.
The fact that those downside risks that we had on the horizon are less pronounced. And I'm not going to bet on how phase one of the trade discussions between the United States and China are heading and when they will be completed and what it will deliver.
Don't chase, Wilford. Wait for the test of the broken resistance to hold the support. And then when the price resumes up, that's where you get in.
We will know by the end of today what is the outcome of Brexit. Sorry, not of Brexit, I shouldn't say that. What is the outcome of the UK election, which will have a bearing on what happens to Brexit and the transition period. So that's also an element of uncertainty that is probably loosening, and that will give us a bit more clarity as to the environment in which we operate. So that's... So
did you hear what she just said? She just said two things. She basically said, listen, we have what's happening with the US and China, a big event hanging over our heads. And we have the outcome of the UK elections today, which ultimately is really the outcome of Brexit. So that's where the market's focused. That's really important what she just said. This is, both of those things could make everything turn in a second, right? So we're really at a pivotal point where we're getting close to having some good opportunity in the market. And right now you just got to be careful and on your toes. Wilfred, here it looks like gold is breaking upwards, but you see it's at the resistance. Look at the spikes above, right? You always wait for the closes on the daily time frame to see if price has broken something. And if we even break higher here, great. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Let's see what happens with the tariffs. And if you get a successful test, price pulls back, and this time it stops at this new support and resumes upwards, then you got a beautiful trade. Take it there. Right now, this could get rejected. We could see a wick. We could see this trading below this broken resistance here today, right? Easily. This should be neutral right now. Make this neutral.
How, as part of the framework, we will be considering those. I see very much the strategy as a house that we build, stone by stone, one after the other, and I think that's.
Mark, good morning. How's it going? Glad you're here with us. Wilfred, I'm not going to get into right now the difference of back testing and forward testing with you, because I don't think that's going to offer you any type of advantage. I think you're making really good progress on what you focused in on and what you're learning, and that's exactly what you should be doing. I don't think that you need to really focus in on that at this moment at all.
Governing council member of the executive board of the ECB and was finishing at the end of this year. He committed a paper which was commissioned, if I recall, by the G7, but he also very ably participated in the paper.
But just to give you an overview of what it is back testing is being like, all right, I'm going to look at all the times price bounced off of support and look at an entry during London and New York and see how those trades played out. If I took profit, one ATR, one movement, one of the pair's average daily range, and it had a stop loss at half ATR. And then you go back over the charts and you look at all the support levels and you see how many times that worked out. And forward testing would be doing that in real time. And as Alberto was mentioning, forward testing, you have the news events to be able to factor into there and know when you're trading and when you're not. But it's just basically going back over the charts and looking for your trading plan working out.
We will identify, number one, the purpose that we have with that. Are we trying to reduce cost? Are we trying to
we have about 13 minutes to US equities open. I think they're opening slightly down to mixed.
There's a whole range of objectives that can be pursued. So I think we will start by doing that. Then we will identify the technicalities of it all, which is not a given, particularly when you talk about the euro system. And I think that there is also great.
Yeah, no, you want to know. Of course, Wilfred, you want to know as much as possible. And you definitely want to know what back testing is and forward testing 100%. But just anything, what I always do for anything and everything, and is anything I'm interested in, I go ahead and just Google it, right? Well, I don't use Google really too often, but DuckDuckGo or any other search engine. Let's take a look at gold. You were saying.
We'd better be ahead of the curve if that happens, because there is clearly a demand out there that we have to respond to. I would like to
and 515.
I think the benefit of the paper is that it also draws a line between this sort of glamorous central bank digital currency, much talked about and worth exploring, and the digital payment systems that we have and that exist. We have several items that are completely digitalized, that are not at the front end, and that the bank's clients do not perceive as being in operation, but where settlement and clearings are actually taking place instantly, thanks to the digital payment system that have been put in place, notably within the euro system. So on those digital euro systems that exist, some of which need a better take-up by some of.
I think that's pretty close to what you're looking at.
Because I think we have something which is really worth developing and encouraging. And I'm talking here about
September 4th.
all those acronyms that I should not be using, but I don't know what they stand for.
Got it.
All I know is that they deliver in digital terms the operations of clearing and settling, sometimes in one single operation. Thank you.
Madam President, the ECB is running a very accommodative policy, despite the fact that the Eurozone unemployment rate has gone back down to pre-crisis levels. What does this suggest?
Nice input, guys.
The output gap in the Eurozone, and what are the specific signposts that the government?
Because, and the reason why is, so obviously this trend line here even holds more weight than this one. This is going back further. So price is, as a lot of people are getting excited about gold, looks like it's breaking out here. It's really, it'll be clear when and if it breaks out. Right now, it's really got a couple of resistance points overhead.
By bailout era restrictions, I'm referring to not directly participating in QE or the ceilings in banking.
And just always to be just safe, Paul. It's not.
Do you think that there is?
Oh, is that we have the trend line? I thought you were talking about where it'll be a breakout. Either way, wherever it breaks out, like, why don't chase it? I wait for the retrace back into that broken resistance.
On your first point, and concerning the use of our various instruments in order to deliver on our mandate, we have one objective, and that's price stability as defined under the strategy as it stands today. So that's the goal, that's the aim, and that's what we're pursuing. I wouldn't venture too much into this theory of the output gap, how much slack there is, how much slack there is not. And, you know, informed by good discussions that I've had.
Again, Australian dollar, US dollar looks like it has broken the several month trend line here. It's definitely above now, and I'm waiting to see how it reacts right now. I'll be waiting for a possible entry by looking first for a pullback, preferably into the support, this broken resistance, and to see if that holds.
I would not guess estimate on that particular front. I think,
but I have this marked as purple. This is what I'm watching today. Euro, Japanese yen also. This is looking healthy now. I'm waiting for a pullback into here. Of course, I may never get it, but this is, and then I have this on the way up, these two to focus on. But this support line now looks good, and I'm waiting to see what happens. And I'm looking on the short side on gold. There's our gold. I'm looking on the short side.
Very impressive, both on growth and on the
but this won't be during this session. Definitely not. If we haven't, by Asia, broken above here, and price makes a lower low during London, that will be my entry, and I'll be looking and watching gold for it today.
Are subject to eligibility criteria, and they're also for the benefit of the entire euro system.
Pound pairs are really retracing.
So my guess,
more or less as we discussed and were expecting. Good job, DJ, on taking your profits down there. Nice trade, and good job getting out of it.
From BFM Business. When you see the Green Deal package of the European Commission, and when you see the social climate in France. Thank you.
Yep, and on silver too, I'm looking. I would be looking. I'm not trading it. I would be looking to see if we get rejected over here. If we climb in back into this channel over here, then again, wait for it to pull back and see if this lower support line now holds a support. But right now, it looks like it's got a decent chance of getting rejected.
And I very much hope that this ambition can actually be endorsed by all European institutions in their respective.
About 5 minutes to the U.S. equity open.
And in compliance with the treaties. Okay, so what it means is that in our strategic review, we will take up climate change. We will take up the fight that is taken up by the European Commission and I hope other European institutions, and see where and how we can participate in that particular endeavor. But you know, I'm only sorry about one thing. I was hoping yesterday morning that the taxonomy was a done deal. And unfortunately, the Coreper, as I understand, has not found an agreement yet on taxonomy, which would be extremely helpful for us. That's a call to them to find an agreement. You know, I'm not commenting on any particular country. You will appreciate that. But you know, when we say that we want to deliver on our mandate, we also know that monetary policy is going to be supported and boosted by other policies, amongst which the structural reforms that will improve productivity, that will improve growth, creation of employment.
Let's take a look. We haven't even looked at US dollar, Canadian dollar today.
So in that respect, clearly reforms
and
are a necessary component of addressing the future.
I was a little confused by this yesterday, so I just decided give it some time to develop further, and still am.
Some politicians in Italy have discovered 1 month ago something which is called the ESM.
I still don't have a clear look at it.
Discussion started, and some critics they say that it would imply some form of debt restructuring, and they don't want it. So I wanted to know your opinion on this.
And I should also have it. Hold on, stick with me here a second.
And the second question is on the banking union, because there it has been Olaf Scholz that has restarted a discussion again on the third pillar, so-called, on the scheme of the deposit scheme. But there's
I think what I'm seeing here, and why it's a little difficult to trade right now, but I'm seeing obviously the series of lower highs on this end, on the up here. But down here, you're also seeing, except for right here and here, but you're seeing higher lows. Again, this one, these two are off, but you are seeing higher lows. And so what I'm really seeing is this.
Mechanism. And I'm saying it on purpose rather than ESM, because I think each and every word.
Right. And that's what I'm seeing is this range narrowing and narrowing. And that means a really big move is coming. But right now, I think being away from this is the best play for me, because it's not offering any type of direction and certainty. And I think what I'm seeing really, again, this is the only one where you have actually a lower low, but you have a series of higher lows. And then here you have a series of lower highs, and prices really just converging, narrowing, right? So I think it's best to wait for some type of direction before getting involved on the US dollar, Canadian dollar.
The debt restructuring process that it took, as far as Greece was concerned, was difficult.
And we go back now to the daily.
Much longer than I think it could have with the ESM. We can't rewrite history, and it's.
I'm just kind of confused. Like I don't see a clear direction. Of course, the play, and I was not looking at it. We watched it as it happened, but the play was over up here on the break of this trend channel and this resistance up here, double resistance. That was the play short, and I don't see anything else developing right now in the US dollar, Canadian dollar. I think it should be a neutral pair that you're just giving it some time.
On the banking union, I was really encouraged to see the paper produced by colleague Olaf Scholz, and clearly there are areas that are in debate. The weighing of sovereign bonds.
1319.
One where Italy is showing some openness, as I understand, and I think it's
and just to go back, you all saw that. So I think the thing is since the range is narrowing and narrowing on both ends, you don't have an edge to take a trade either buy or long because the range is narrowing. It's not expanding. Hernero, as far as what's going on today, I'm focused in on these three purple pairs. I'm focused in right now to see whether or not this resistance here holds. If we get back below this broken resistance here, and then everyone else help me add in this long sloping trend line over here that's also providing resistance right above. So we have multiple resistance over here. If we're rejected here, I'm looking to go short overnight. We have also the Euro Japanese yen.
So thank you very much.
Who's taken out. The press conference is now ending. I was waiting for price to get above this resistance, which it is now, to look for longs on the Euro Japanese yen. And I will now wait for any pullback into that support. And if price resumes out of it, I'll be looking for longs. And the Australian dollar, US dollar looks like it made this breakout of this trend line that goes way back all the way to December. And that's a year. And now that it's broken out, I'm looking for a retest down into this support to look to go long on a resumption out of it. That's where I'm focused. There's a lot going on. Be careful on the pound pairs, everyone. We have seen, again, we were talking about that earlier. We would not be surprised to see this big retrace happen. And that is what has happened since. Be very careful. We're going to get some type of resolution today. And then we could see really a nice trend develop on the pound pairs. And then we have the bigger deal. We have the question of whether or not the tariffs get put on or not. And Trump is meeting with his advisors today. A lot of big impact events going on in the markets right now. You wanted to look at Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, and see this is a very similar situation developing as with the Euro Japanese yen, except that this is not above the resistance like the Euro is. So that's why I'm focused in on the Euro for a long, and why I wouldn't take a short off of this. Why I wouldn't be shorting off of this resistance here is because you don't have a good risk to reward. You have support right down here. This is narrowing this range. Only if it breaks down to the downside does it become attractive, or if it gets above this resistance here now. It was different back over here, here, and here, where you had much more room. But now that range is narrowing, right? This pattern is coming to a conclusion, and you really need to get above this resistance level and then a test of it to look to getting long up in this area here, or wait for a breakdown over here. But why price is stuck in this range now at a range that's narrowing, you want to avoid it. You got racked. You were saying US dollar anything? Where's my DXY? Looks like the price is getting rejected. We looked at this a little while ago. Price was definitely up higher, testing that broken support And it looks like it's definitely appears that it's going to hold as resistance, but you need to see price start making lower lows in order for that to be confirmed. There's still a chance by the end of today we get back above this broken resistance. This is the first test of the broken support. So we want to see it hold as resistance. In order to confirm that, price needs to make lower lows. Looks like the euro, ever since the press conference start, is starting to really resume upwards. So we're just 5 minutes now into the US equity open, and first 20 minutes, half hour is volatile, gets traders usually caught off on the wrong side. Let's see what happens. And this is getting exciting now. We are coming to a point where a lot of things overhanging the market, specifically the UK elections, and then the December 15 tariffs are going to be out of the way. And that's going to give us some really clear direction to play with. Until then, expect some volatility both ways. You've seen that playing out this morning on the pound. You had some really big sell-offs, and then we're now wicking up. DJ, really glad you took profits down there. Again, fantastic trade, but definitely risky. What else are we looking at? What else do we want to take a look at? I feel like we got a great feel for the market and everything that's happening. I took profits too soon on this. That's bad. Let's take a look at both. We'll go back to, Prince. The only reason we should be looking for gold to drop is to get into the trade. Okay, it is dropping off there. But, and really for everyone, even if we're looking for price to come into a resistance area, don't take it as it's going into the resistance area. Wait for confirmation that it's being rejected. Although you're like, yeah, well, if I get in here and then it drops, I have much more profit. That's true, but it's not a high profitability trade. And in the end, that doesn't work out. It might work out for a trade or two or three, and those might go well in your favor, but you're just looking to be able to take money consistently out of the markets, like fishing, throwing in that fish, waiting, taking it out, and not really looking to be taking risks, because trading is risky to begin with. This looks like it is getting ready to break out to the upside. It's at a resistance level, and it's helpful to have this trend line here because price trades below it. Price gets below 58.70, 58.65, right around that area. Then you're looking to the short side, and this is good now. If you break out to the upside, you have a really well-defined risk. It's at a point where you want to be looking to trade oil, because whether it's up or down, you're getting to a really telling place. So oil is interesting right now where it is. And if you do get the breakout and you get involved, you don't, you have some like around 60, 86 is definitely the first area of resistance. That's where you'd want to look to first lock in your stop. And then you'd want to not take profit. You want to see how price reacts around there. You want to see if price is able to blow through that level. And at that point, you have a beautiful trade on your hands. Or if it starts stalling out, be careful and get ready to take profit. If it starts retracing downwards, that's an important line we want to have in here. I'll make that lighter only because that's an area you don't want to take profit. You want to tighten up your stop and give it some room to see what you're going to do. Blair, that's interesting. Do you think that I guess that also makes sense then. Do you think there's any chance that he would? You can't tell with him. It's so tough. You can't tell. So as far as where I'm concerned and how I view it, if, for example, the rest of this session, gold were to continue, it was rejected. We have a better look at it over here. Let me get it up here with you guys. If gold was rejected over here by this double resistance we have now and was to trade below, see it's currently trading right now back down at that broken resistance, which either is going to hold the support or not. And then if during New York and during this session, it just continues to trade down all the way here, I missed the trade. The only way I'm getting into this trade is if during Asia price is below these two resistance levels and then resumes downwards during London. I'm not going to take the trade down here. If price trades down to 1471 and takes out this previous low, because then all of a sudden my risk to reward is skewed to the wrong side. I have to worry about this support down here, and my risk is greater than my reward. So I'll just wait for another trade, right? Even though I want to get into gold, it's what I'm watching and waiting for. If it doesn't develop, giving me an edge getting into it, I have to step aside and wait. I have to pick my setups, but I'm not chasing it down here. I don't know what's going to happen. What I'm hoping will happen is that we will be somewhere up here coming out of Asia, and then I'll have the opportunity to make a lower during London to get shorted. Right now, I'm just waiting and watching. I'm not chasing this down move. I have to pause for 2 seconds. All right, sorry about that. We have 5 kids all waking up at once with no school, so that's an event always. We were just looking at this and we were saying, well, we were looking at this twice today. We were looking at this when price was up here earlier, about a half hour ago, and we were saying that we need to see where she closes. This was a test of the broken support, and this is the first test of it. So this would be the tell. And then we were looking at it 15 minutes ago, price was down here, and we were saying in order to be confirmed, price needs to make lower lows. So again, we'll see where she closes today in order, and there's the possibility she regains it. It's open. I have to be honest, just to give my 2 cents, I don't think if it was an election year, I don't think that if the president was trying to get reelected, that he would be making any type of deal with China. And, you know, that it is what it is. But I think that he says, that they want a deal. They want it. Yeah, so do we. He definitely wants. So it looks like they're not going to be putting on the tariffs. It would be a surprise if they did. Ugh. What does that do to our Australian dollar, US dollar? It looks like the euro might not get it. You should see when yen weakness now across the board. Might never get a chance here. See. Maria, so, right, like we were watching her. Let me go to gold. We were watching her. We wanted to get involved. And for me, gold is getting away from me. I'm not going to chase after it, right? If gold keeps going down, the next play for me will be waiting to see if it breaks this lower trend line support. And if gold breaks below there, I'll wait and look for a retest of that broken support and try to get short. Because if it breaks out of this, breaks down outside of this bear flag, I think we have downside movement into this pocket down here. So if we do break down outside of this bear flag, I think we're going to have a good chance at following through, breaking that 1463 support and getting down into this pocket. And that will look really nice. If we'll see. I'm not chasing it here though. I'm waiting and I have to wait. So yeah, let's take a look at the US dollar, Swiss franc. Oh, that's interesting. So you see this blue box we have here, price broke down this morning. I guess that was on news out of the Swiss bank. And so this is so dependent on the dollar. This is the dollar story right now. And you have to use the DXY also as a guide here. And it looks like we're regaining that broken support. So it looks like on the daily that's going to hold as support. So the US dollar, Swiss franc very well could continue a move. There could be a false breakdown and we could get back inside this box over here. Right. So if you're currently long the dollar, hold on. King, I'm not sure if you're long or short the US dollar against the Swiss franc, but if you're long the dollar, then I would definitely keep holding and see if we get back in this box, because if we get back in this box and the tariffs don't go on, you're gonna be seeing a lot of room to the upside. Wow. The indices are going bananas to the upside. And if you had a chance to read that article we shared yesterday talking about going into the year end, that actually is not a good thing. The higher the indices go, the more chance that we're going to have some trouble in the next couple of weeks. I mean, so if you're long here, you know, I'm not sure where your entry is or what you took it off of, but the fact is, if you're long here, to me, it's like a gift, something that worked out in your favor. I would seriously, if I was long here, I I would first of all move my stop to break even. And I would wait to see how price reacts over here. If we get back into here, I would continue holding, and I would continue holding, and I would continue holding. I would not be looking to take profit there at all. You have a nice swamp with you, and we had a false breakdown, and we're trading up. If the tariffs don't go on, which is the way we're leaning right now, you're not going to have that flight to the Swiss franc. The US dollar is going to be firming up, and if I were long here, instead of taking profits, Jordan would be looking to just lock in the trade, stop at break even, and see what happens here. If you get rejected off of this line here, and you see the DXY getting rejected, below the support, okay, take your profits. Take your profits on that trade. Nice trade, but this could turn in to something really nice if you get back above this resistance you're at right now, which it does appear that's the way the market's headed. So, and if you get back up into here with the current environment, you could have some serious further upside, and that's what I would be looking at doing. No, I mean, we're all here to offer our insight and things like that. But I definitely have, I feel like I have my pulse on the market. I see what's happening. And I do feel like, the biggest thing we're worried about is whether or not those tariffs were going to go on or not. And now there's a distinct possibility they're not going to go on. This could be, for sure, this could be Trump, posturing and trying to get China to make a deal. And if things don't go his way, for sure he walks away. He has a history of doing it. It's how he negotiates. That we're not out of the water yet. The tariffs could still go on. And if they do go on, of course, this is going to reverse really quick and really sharply. And then, but right now, I guess I'm leaning towards the fact that he doesn't want them to go on because he wants to get reelected. And I would have a lot more respect for him if he did put them on, because we're not getting a good deal. But it doesn't look like they're going to. And for me, in a place like this, is a fundamental event right now then. And if I was trading this pure technically, right, you're at resistance right now. That's why I wouldn't even be in this trade long. But being that you are, I would just look at it as a free trade and give it that room to see if you actually get like a home run there. But otherwise, yeah, right here, you're looking to take profits. You're testing a resistance level. But the indices are tough. They're almost up, 0.75% right now. They're all trading at their highs. It looks like the markets are beginning to price in something that it wasn't really positioned for. And this is a dollar story right now. You have yen weakness, dollar strength. I wish the euro Japanese yen definitely getting away. So is this is what I'm questioning, right? If this continues right now, what's going to happen here with the Australian dollar, US dollar? Is the US dollar going to continue firming up? Will this be a false breakdown? But then again, if the China is getting some type of ceasefire that benefits the Australian economy, It's so tied to the Chinese economy. You have to play it technically. As long as this support holds, any US dollar strength right now could be a gift to get into this trade, so long as that level holds. And it's never easy taking trades into support or selling into resistance. The only thing about it is you know when you're wrong real quick, which is why it's good. Oh, that's interesting. That could change things real quick. Everyone be aware. I mean, do you think the Chinese are going to go for that? Could the US publicly offer to cut tariffs by 50% and then take them all off fully if the Chinese don't accept it? That would look really weak from the US, and that what makes all of this always a flowing puzzle so difficult to figure out, right? Right? Game theory. So the US offers you that they're going to raise tariffs, but only by 50%, while you're telling them that they need, in order for negotiations to continue, for them to take it off 100%. What are the Chinese going to do? How desperate are they? If the Chinese say no, what does the US do? Does the US can't back down then and say, okay, well, we're not going to place tariffs. Do they place them by 100%? Gold is really continuing to drop. Euro is coming down and testing yesterday's breakout of resistance. We're getting close now. This is a fluid market. There is a lot going on. This is Hanero. If you're watching, this is a type of market to definitely be trading with momentum today on a short time frame. You do have the US dollar Swiss franc breaking back into this range. US indices now up 1% on the day. Really seeing everything really pumping. Am I the only person concerned about this? I can't imagine that's acceptable to Beijing. The markets are definitely not as worried as I am. I see that. US dollar has regained the formation of the rising wedge. That's why we looked at this support down here after it broke out the channel. That's why we weren't looking ready to sell until it broke this support down here. this also potentially now becomes looking like a good possible long if get any retest of this trend line and this support in the day or days ahead. That's becoming attractive to me. King, I'm so happy about that too, but I do want to I want to know why you got into that trade long. I'm interested, and if you want to email me that, and I can review it with you. I'm so glad you're in that trade. It seems like a gift, but I'm concerned how you got into it and why you got into it, and that's just what I want to focus on and look on and work with you. So it's not so much that you're now holding a gift and a great position, and now you want to manage that well, but you know, for going forward and for furthering your ability, that we need to just review that together and do that. Send me an email. Raj, you know, is it a full to me? I'm not buying anything right now. I don't know. I'm obviously seeing so much happening before me in Hanero. I'm glad you're all over it. I learned a while ago that although that I love to trade, especially on this type of movements and action. And this is where I excel. When markets are moving fast, for sure, I make the most money and it is the easiest for me. But the thing that's difficult for me is being able to go from recognizing the market, trading it, and not doing that all the time. And, you know, this is the conditions to be doing it. And if you're trying to trade too aggressively when the markets are not moving, it doesn't work out. And, you know, I learned where I make my money. So that's where I focus and make my money. But this is a fun environment to be trading in. And it sounds like now for a couple of weeks you've been all over it. I like that. Let's take a look at the S&P. Wow. Wow. So we got the S&P and the NASDAQ leading to new all-time highs. And it looks like, yeah, also got the Dow doing it as well. What's that doing to oil? Oil should now be breaking out to the upside. And that's because if the US and China are, you know, appearingly, seemingly making some type of deal that should benefit the global economy, although it's not going to fix it. This is just a small reprieve we're going to see. Yeah, no, I love it. Yeah, I missed gold too, and this was where I was looking for it. You know, I'm glad we all recognized gold up here where it was going on, but the move happened because it was such tweet driven, and the markets price something in differently really quick and really fast. And I said I wasn't going to take an entry down here at 1471. It was too low for me to offer me a poor risk to reward ratio, and that's why I didn't do it. That's fine. Great to see something play out, and if you're not involved, you're not involved. If we break down outside of this bear flag though, right, hopefully we first bounce right around 1450, somewhere in this area, and get a retest. And if we get a retest of this broken trend line, that's where I'll look to get short. So I feel safer there. And if we do get a successful retest and resumption downwards, I have a good feeling that we're going to test this pocket, and that could be a beautiful trade. Yeah, I agree 100% with what you see there, Raj. But I think I'm the only one in the whole market who's nervous whether or not the Chinese would accept that, because the Chinese said publicly that the only way that they will continue is if the Chinese said specifically the only way that they will continue is if the US take off the tariffs 100%. So I don't know the ball is in Xi's court, and that's where the ball is. And I don't know what the Chinese are going to do. I think the US was very concerned that the Chinese were shaping the narrative. In the US today, in game theory, all they did was shape the narrative. The US gave the terms. The Chinese have to accept or deny the terms. So all that I see that happened today was the US was concerned that it was the Chinese who, through leaks, were shaping the narrative, and all the US did was take back that perceived power. This is just simple game theory, and I don't know how the Chinese are going to react. How bad do they want a deal that they're willing to lose face for it? I don't know. Check out the About section of the YouTube channel. There's an email address there. That's what I think, Mark. That's what I think. So at least there's someone else out there who is leaning where I'm leaning, why everyone is getting euphoric. But everyone is euphoric right now. I'm just watching my levels. I'm waiting for the market. I'm not jumping in on anything, and I think we still have a lot of fireworks left. I have the resistance down here, but you could see it clearly also right where price is trading right now. If you just look at this horizontal line, you see that you are up also at a resistance right now on the US dollar Swiss franc. I don't really think that's folding. Offering 50%. Again, I truly and sincerely think this was all about the US wanting to be in control of the narrative and not China. So the US played a great chess move. They simply put the ball back in China's court. And I think it's a very difficult deal for China to take. If they take it, the Chinese economy is as bad as everyone is beginning to think it is. So what happens down here on gold, though? Let's check this out, because this now changes everything, and I could look for a possible long as we're down off of this bottom trend line. Right, we're down at support, and I have this support over here, this light support. I have this green line over here, which is just light support, but we're down over support over here. So now adversely, as I was looking for to see if this held during Asia and reversed during London or New York tomorrow, well, I won't trade on Friday tomorrow. If this does reverse off support though, is a long in play. Yeah, I like it. I'll be looking at it. All right, I will have a tight stop. I'll have a very tight stop. I'm not sure where it'll be yet. I'll look at this before we get off the live stream today and see what's going on. But if this support holds all the way through Asia and then during London, we start making a higher high, I will look to take that trade. And it's a narrow range. Again, I have this resistance here. I'll have to look to move my stop if I get up there to break even. But it's a good risk reward going into it. And if China balks at this is going to send gold soaring. So we could go either way. We're at a good injunction, and gold's still in play for me, just the other way than I thought it would be. No, I'm not chasing anything up here. I would imagine this is where the euro, this is where I would be looking to. If I were, no, I don't think anyone's long here. If you were long though, you're at resistance. You have to look how price is going to react up here, whether or not you're moving up your stop or whether or not you're going to, if we stall out over here, go ahead and take some profits off the table. I can't even be watching this right now because it's not offering anything for me. And the Australian dollar has taken off. I never had the opportunity to get in. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up bars in a row. I'm definitely not chasing that, but it looks clear that we've broken out of these levels so far. Is the dollar turning around or holding? Still holding up. The reason the Australian dollar is stronger than the dollar though is because right now it appears for whatever reason the market is taking this as a signal there's going to be some type of deal, and that benefits what benefits China, it benefits the Australian dollar. King, were you able to find that? It's just on the about section of the YouTube page. Yes, you should see the New Zealand dollar also right now making gains, because that is geographically they're both so connected to Asia. Definitely more so the Australian dollar, but this is also the New Zealand dollar as a barometer of the trade war. You can see both of them, the Australian dollar up more, but the New Zealand dollar and the Australian dollar and versus the Japanese yen. This is really the trade. Look at that. Wow. Where were we? Again, it just blew past me. There was no opportunity for me to get in. But look at that. Oh my goodness. Nice. Yeah, good. That's where I was hinting towards. Regardless of whatever your feelings are, if Trump gets, any type of deal here, you have the indices trading at all times highs. Things are looking good for him getting reelected. US indices are at their high of the day. Everyone is still riding this wave. I am actually disappointed because right now this is where I took profits on this too early yesterday. And yeah, of course, although a trade in profit is a trade in profit, but this is where I should have been looking to see what was going to happen and just even considering taking profits. And this was this should have been a spectacular trade, and it was only a good trade, and that's this poor. I'm going to spend some time this weekend really getting into that, and looking at what I was thinking psychologically. So I don't think anyone's out of the woods yet. I think that we really the ball is in China's court. And I think it's, although the market seems to be buying this current scenario, I have no idea what China is going to do. I'm surprised if they go ahead and take that deal. I think that deal is really, really astute, really smart on the side of the U.S. as a way to go ahead and take back some type of like psychological power and saying, no, this is going to be done on our terms, not yours. And now it's just a question of how bad China needs it. And if they need it, they're going to take it. But if they do, this really turns the table. So I think it was well played by the US, but I'm not leaning towards China taking that deal. And if that happens, this current move is going to reverse just as quick, if not more violently than it occurred. So I am looking here now that we're towards support here on gold to be seeing if it's possible for me to get into a long trade here. Everything else that I'm looking at has run away from me. I have to wait for things to reset and get closer to a level where I could buy off of, which is currently not right now. China is hurting really bad. But, the communists are in control. And just as long as the people aren't revolting, they're not really concerned about the people, are they? I did see that. The euro is kind of right back where she started. Even if that was, or you consider this a successful test of this support, which is right around there, right? It's kind of like a blue box. So that's a successful test. I'm still not looking to get long here. I would need to get long closer to here if I was going to play this to the upside. And right now this is not one of my top choices right now. Of course, I love trading on the euro, but right now it's a little more iffy for me. Yeah. So what is it? Navarro who's worth 50 million. He's got all these offshore accounts, all this inside info that 50 million is probably closer to $1 billion right now. Guys, we started a little early this morning. We've been online for because of the ECB, about 2 hours. I'm going to take 5 minutes here and get a cup of tea. So I'll be right back. Yeah, I'm back now. I had stepped away to get a cup of tea. Wow, come back, take a look at that 1 second. We did take a look at the US dollar, Swiss franc, and yeah, that's exactly what it appears to be, a false breakout. We're reclaiming this broken resistance, but we're far from out of the woods yet. We just came back off of this resistance, and this is where price stalled out, right where we said that we thought it would. Again, what's the indices have come off about a quarter of a percentage point. DXY is still holding up. Again, just be aware. There's a strong possibility that China is not going to take this deal. I don't think they will, and all these moves will be reversed violently. What happens here on the pound Australian dollar if we do see a positive resolution out of the UK and we see some pound strength come in? Serious moves. So it's 6 hours from now. It's also going to be a low volume time of day then. So you could see some extended moves in the pound. I was trying to get a feel for what's going on, but you know, where my mind is at and what I'm looking at, of course, you guys are all over it. If you're watching the pound this evening, there's going to be plenty of opportunity. The volatility will continue throughout the day and then pick up. I'm sure Hanera's all over that also. But I'm more focused here on Z and China, and the ball is in their court. And really now, you know, we were looking at whether or not it was Trump who's going to implement the tariffs or not. They have now set the terms, and it's up to Z to accept or not. And again, if he accepts, China's in a way worse situation than we thought. But I think we still have to be on super high alert until we find out what China's decision is. We probably will not hear anything. We probably will hear from the first on Twitter from their propaganda mouthpieces what's going on as we get into Asia. I personally am definitely in a holding pattern right now. So if anyone else, his eyes are onto something or want to discuss or talk about or plan something out together, let me know. Is the euro pound interesting? With the resolution of Brexit about to take hold. I think Raj was saying it is around what time was that? 10 p.m. GMT? About 6 hours from now, we should have the resolution. All day today are the elections out on the UK. All the pound pairs have been volatile all day long. They seem to be back trading down towards the lows here on the pound US dollar after retracing up during this session. Big volatility here, right? That's awesome, Maria. One of the most important pieces of trading is simply knowing when to trade and knowing when not to. This is a day of high volatility. If you are short time frame minded, then today is your day. There is opportunity across the board, really, and things have been moving. But those days are far and few in between. And there lies the problem with that type of trader. It's fun to do. And when the markets are moving, it's easy to make money. But you know, one mistake could be very costly, and it's tough. It's a tough way to make a living over there. It's a lot easier picking your setups off the higher time frames. You've probably heard that before, and maybe it doesn't sound attractive to you. I think all in all, when it becomes attractive for you, when you find yourself making money in the markets. And I think the one problem that a lot of traders have, and that, you know, discipline and patience, I think those are all solved once you figure out how to make money. And then at that point, you'll have all the patience and discipline in the world, because you just simply know what works and you go with what works. Which were the polls on referendum day that actually turned out to be, was it the YouGov polls that turned out to actually give the clear indication before everything else? Fuck. Yeah. So Raj, and I'll get to that in a moment. Paul, this is probably Japanese tea. I'm sorry. This not with the Japanese matcha, and although I'm a staunch coffee lover, I also enjoy my matcha. US dollar, Canadian dollar. We looked at this earlier, so it's fresh in my mind. So this is exactly where I'm at with it right now. And for me, what I'm seeing here is a series of lower highs, and also at the same time, higher lows, right? This area withstanding, you have a bunch of higher lows and lower highs. And what I'm seeing is prices just narrowing in, right? So because we're coming to this, we're coming to the point where we're going to break out one way or the other. I see right now it's just so difficult to trade because of the narrowing range. And until price breaks up or down outside of this formation, I think it's just better. Like, you're in the center right now. You're in the dead center of this narrowing range. So wait for the breakout. There should be a really big move one way or the other. Again, the last play, I didn't get a piece of it, but it was the break of this trend line into the support and off of the support. But right now we're just narrowing and narrowing now. And I think you're in no man's land. And I think right now there are so many pairs offering opportunity. Just wait for things to develop further here. Yeah, so even if you drop down to a 1 hour chart though, because things are on the bigger picture not offering that opportunity, it's the same thing. Even if you get a move here one way or the other, up or down, it should be pretty limited in the distance it could go. The 1 hour to me just looks really noisy, right? It's not much than 1 minute. Let's look here at the 4-hour. Looks like you have a little bit more of resistance to lean up to. Once you get up in here, you have where my mouse is right now. You have a nice resistance line, or a resistance line. And this one, if you extend it even further. So the closer you get up into here, you have a better opportunity to look for a short off of it. Right now, it seems to be this support down here is holding. But you're in no man's land, no matter what time frame you're looking at right now on the US dollar, Canadian dollar. Again, the pound pairs are moving. The yen pairs are moving. Not so much the US dollar, Canadian dollar right now. It looks like we're going to be taking a look at this level over here, which, you know, coincides with the euro taking a look over here. I have to see what the DXY is doing. And then that would be the DXY up there. ICM. What's the ICM poll predicting today? Maria, at this stage of the game, if you are, first of all, acknowledging that discipline and patience are important and you're focused in on the higher time frames, I have full confidence that in a reasonable amount of time, you're going to be not only seeing things clearly, but taking money out of the markets. So that's a horse I would bet on. Wow, Raj, that's awesome. So I guess also the problem is, and again, I've been very clear for weeks now, this is not my forte. I'm not really, I don't have my thumb on the politics of the UK. I feel like I do have a pretty good read on what's going on with China and the US and the trade war. I'd be happy to offer my opinion on that, but I can't with the UK. But what even happens if Johnson gets the majority here? Is he able to get out of the EU? I don't know. I feel like the EU is just doing anything they can to keep him in as long as possible, so that other people have a hard time leaving the EU and won't be able to do it. Is there any chance that actually the UK could leave the EU? And by I mean any chance, I mean, when would that time frame be actually? And even if they get the majority today, are they able to leave the EU? And then what happens if to the pound, if they do leave the EU, is the initial reaction actually a sell off of the pound? That ultimately, if they leave the EU, is going to be really good for the pound. It's really going to be beneficial. There's an interview on Real Vision on YouTube of Nigel. Nigel speaking on Real Vision, and anyone that's interested in UK politics, I highly recommend watching it. Really, really good interview. if that happened, if the uncertainty initially helped the pound, I would become really interested in looking and trying to find a place for that reversal to happen and for an opportunity to get and ultimately, I think it would really benefit the pound to leave the EU. So I would look at any initial uncertainty reaction that saw the pound depreciating as a long-term opportunity for the pound. So I hope that happens. Okay, you got that was the insight I was looking for. Thank you. So that makes a lot of sense to me now. So it is like short-term pound positive if they're leaving with a deal with the EU. The last thing I remember reading sometime last week was that the EU was saying that there's no way that the UK would get a deal by the end of 2021. So that leads me to believe that the only option that the UK has is to leave with a no deal. And I don't know if that's going to happen, or if they'll be able. So much uncertainty, right? It's like you have the election today, but that doesn't leave us with a clear path. I think there's still more uncertainty ahead. And from I forgot who it was, but it was someone. It might have been that the lead negotiator of the EU. He said there's no way that they'll get a deal by the end of 2021. I don't know how that sits with the British people and the Prime Minister. Wow. Flying. We're coming up towards resistance here on the US dollar, Japanese yen. You have this lower or other lower support line, which is now resistance. And then if you look horizontal as well, you could see you also have resistance. So we're up in a resistance area over here. There's no play there at all right now. Sometimes price just goes without giving you an opportunity to get involved. Definitely seeing why the dollar is strong. You're definitely seeing the Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar stronger than the US dollar. That's simply because any type of deal would benefit the Chinese economy, which benefits these two economies. They are barometers. You should see the Australian dollar flying and the New Zealand dollar flying against the Japanese yen. And again, there was never an opportunity for me to get even remotely long. For me, for others, yes. This was like if you're looking on the 1 hour and when you had the breakout and then the retest and then the resumption, I'm not trading the 1 hour. It was not possible for me to consider. You could see it happening even on the 4 hour, which is a really low time frame for me. You don't have an opportunity really to get in. So sometimes things run away from you without you having the opportunity to get in. But again, I'm looking for, 3 trades a week. I took 2 trades this week. Positive for the week. I could have actually had a fantastic week. I made a mistake here exiting over here. There was no reason for me except that I did. Canadian dollar has now blown through this resistance over here that we were looking at. So now she becomes in play any test back of this broken resistance. And there's an opportunity there. Yeah, I mean, as an outsider, obviously, I'm an outsider. They already had the vote, and the people voted to leave. So, regardless if it's close to 50-50 or not, the people already had their chance, and you know, it's the people's the people weren't heard. So that's tough. Regardless of regardless of which party you want to win, I think always as a democracy, you want to adhere to the results. Gold is down here, and I'm back to now. We were up at our resistance level just a couple hours ago, but now we're down to a support level, and I like that because even though obviously I'm on the camp that there's a good chance we're going to see gold break down out of this bear flag, that if we do, it should really be a powerful move and provide probably, you see that blue zone down here we have, and also now this lower trendline support. You get past this weak support over here, and that's where you're headed, and that's a good trade. Well, until that breaks down, I have to be focused now here to the upside, which is what I am focusing in on. It's still up in the air whether or not it's something that's going to become tradable for me overnight, but I'm considering it and I'm watching it. I want to see the Australian dollar pull back further here before I get involved. I'm not chasing this multi-day huge move breakout with everything way overbought. You see the entry CCI is just really overbought for an extended period of time, and the trend CCI is over 200. So wait for the setups. Don't chase momentum. So Raj let us know a couple of times what time was the results. I want to. All right. So we have about 5 o'clock Eastern time, which is when the exit polls should be released, and you should start seeing some volatility pick up, and then over the next hour. So that's good. I don't. Obviously, I don't know at all what everyone's schedule is going to be later, but I'm going to be watching the markets then. I'm going to jump on the live stream then, I guess around I'm going to call it 4:45 Eastern time. Let me put that in. And if anyone's watching the markets then as well, please come join us. I definitely would love to see to follow that with you. As of right now, this is still a good time to be following the markets, and it's been a good time. I have all of my kids off from school today, though, and it's a rare opportunity to spend some time with them. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to jump off here, and I'll jump back on at 4:45 Eastern time, and we'll be taking a look at what's going on and what's developing with the pound pairs, and see what our opportunities are offering at that point as well. So, hey, appreciate all of you today. This was a really, really, really good informative session for me. Received lots of input from all of you, and I'm thankful for that. So I'll talk to you later. Have a great day, everyone.